Movie reviews. It has been 6 months since I went to the movie theater, and that streak is broken. Clearly, that's another topic for another video, but this is probably the longest I've gone without going to the theater since I was like in middle school, probably. Tenet, that's what we're here to talk about. The new Christopher Nolan movie, my most anticipated film of this year, if you remember from back in January. And this is one of the few movies from that list that I'm actually going to see this year. And it somehow found a way despite COVID. It is in theaters. In some theaters. It's actually doing better than I thought at the box office, so I guess a lot of people are actually getting out to see it. I was about a week or so late to it, but I finally saw it, so let's get into it. Plot on IMDb reads, armed with only one word, Tenet, and fighting for the survival of the entire world, a protagonist journeys through a twilight world of international espionage on a mission that will unfold in something beyond real time. This was a movie that I did not see any trailers for. I went in completely blind. The only thing I knew was the director, the cast, and basically how this movie had something to do with time. I haven't actually seen the trailer yet, so I don't know how much it reveals, so I'm going to stick to what is in this plot here, but ultimately, yes, there's a lot of things with time involved within this movie. And I'm trying to think of where to start with this review, because I really enjoy this movie, but there are a lot of things wrong with it. The things that I had issue with are nothing new to the things I have issue with the Christopher Nolan movies. First off, his character development, specifically revolving around females. Like, I don't think he has correctly handled the female character in any of his movies. They either die off to be a plot device for the male character to find some motivation, or it's just kind of like in this movie where she has a kid and that's the motivation for her to do something. So there's that, and the script for this movie does not help at all. It feels a lot like little video game missions, and you're never quite sure where it's leading up to, because the characters are supposed to go fetch this, and they're supposed to go find this, and there's MacGuffin after MacGuffin that doesn't really mean anything. Like, I literally said in the plot description that they're fighting for the survival of the entire world, and that should feel like a big stake, but you never actually feel that because it doesn't really mean anything to you. Which leads to my next complaint that I have with a lot of Christopher Nolan movies, is that there is no plot at all, only a concept of what could possibly make a cool movie. Because I will say the appeal to this movie is incredible. Same thing with Inception, Interstellar, and so many more movies that he has. He takes this idea, this theory, and turns it into a movie that's so fascinating to watch. But he almost doesn't write a script to go along with that theory, because this really isn't a movie. Like, yes, it's technically a movie. There's a plot and there's dialogue, and like I said, there's a MacGuffin and there's like a mission and we have to save the world. But you take away the creative element to this and it's just like any other movie that you have seen before. This movie is full of exposition. I wouldn't be surprised if I found out that it was like 80 to 90% of the movie was just dialogue, and not even interesting dialogue. It's just like a character explaining this to this character, and then this character explains this to this character, and it's just so tacky the way it's trying to explain to the audience. It's not even subtle in the way it's like, we need you to know this now so we can tell you this now. And it's just unfortunate because I think Christopher Nolan has amazing ideas, but never a great way to communicate to the audience what those ideas are without making it sound super cheesy. So in some ways, I wish this movie was way longer, because I think it'd be cool to introduce those ideas and then actually have a movie for those ideas once we're all on the same page. But instead, what we're left with is a pretty long movie with a lot of boring scenes and unnecessary points just to make you understand one little thing that's going to matter for the end. All that being said, I really did enjoy this movie. The way you watch a Christopher Nolan movie, at least for me, is the opposite I watch any other movie. Most movies I watch because it's a great film. I like the way it's shot. I like the plot. And then there's other things about it that I just kind of ignore. It's the suspension of disbelief. It's just saying, okay, I'll let that slide. That doesn't really make sense. But with Christopher Nolan movies, it makes so much sense. And the plot in the actual movie is the part I'm disappointed in. Like, there's very little within me that can argue that this is actually a well-made film, but I still love watching it. And I think that's okay, because like I said, the concept and the gimmick that draws you into this movie is so fascinating, and it's going to make your mind think. And the more that I have processed it and run through the scenarios in my head to see how this whole plot kind of fit together, the more I enjoy it. And that's the stuff that's fun. It's going to draw conversation, and it makes you think about movies and time and all these things in a different way that your brain has never had to exercise before. And so I think this is a weird situation where both can be true, where like, yes, I can acknowledge that this is not a well-made movie, but at the same time, I loved every second about it. Now, the parts of this movie that I did find amazing, well, first off, the action is incredible, and the stunt work is amazing because Again, without trying to spoil too much of what the concept of this movie is, it allows them to do a lot of really cool, interesting things that we've never seen on film before. The cinematography is also amazing, and the score is just breathtaking. And the acting is pretty good. I'd say Robert Pattinson, again, if you're new to this channel, I'm a big Robert Pattinson fan. He definitely steals the show, but John David Washington also carries his own weight in this. I really enjoyed Elizabeth Debicki. I think I liked her better in other films, but it's also, again, just the writing for her character in this was just so lazy. But it's Christopher Nolan. He's going to be successful with this. This is a classic blockbuster movie that everyone's going to be talking about for years, and so yeah, have fun with it. Go into it not expecting a whole lot from the film department, but just go from enjoyment. It's so nice to have movies back, and I'm so glad that this was the first one I was able to see again on the big screen. Walking away, I'm going to give this an 83 out of 100. That equals a 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. You should follow me on Letterboxd, by the way. That's it. Tenet. Have you seen it? What did you think? Comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I will see you next time.